This video is produced by Sailrite. In this video we're going to make a repair to a batten pocket. This batten pocket holds a batten that is sewn in at the leech edge. It is not held in by elastic. The side with the batten pocket has a hole in it. If you flip the sail over and look at the other side, it's been ripped through and it was once repaired. We're going to repair it a second time. We're going to remove the batten pocket, and we're also going to remove that repair to the opposite side of the sail. We're using nippers. You could use a seam ripper to rip those stitches. Underneath this patch that we're taking off, you see a long open rectangle. That's because it used to have a rip in it, and they cut out the rip after they sewed the patch on top. We'll show you how to do that a little bit later on in this video. Deb's going to be cutting a new patch, and she's just marking on the sail where that new patch will sit. You want the patch to have approximately an inch around the entire perimeter of the rip. Here at the leech, we want to take the hem out. This will allow us to place the new patch underneath the hem or the tape.
Take it back far enough to where you can sew down through.
We're only opening up the hem so that it's large enough to put our new patch underneath the hem. Deb's measuring over to determine how much material she needs. She's going to go with 12 inches here for this pocket. And about 2.5 inches here. Your batten pocket will obviously be different. This is the old batten pocket that we took off the sail, and you'll notice there are quite a few folds in it, so we're going to use it to determine the length of our new batten pocket. As a replacement material, we're going to use a 5-ounce Dacron tape, and we're going to cut it to size. She's measuring the old batten pocket top, and it's about 20 inches, so she's going to cut a 20-inch piece out of this 2-inch Dacron tape. The pocket is 1.5 inches wide. That's for our application, so she's going to cut this down 1.5 inches by 20 inches. Deb's using a Hotknife here, but you could use scissors as well. Dacron really doesn't unravel much, so scissors are quite fine. Now she's using that old batten pocket to determine where the folds are, and then is marking on the new batten pocket with a pencil exactly where those folds will be placed. She'll then pre-fold it at each one of those marks. We'll show this whole process here. Some batten pockets are constructed a little bit differently, but you can always use your old batten pocket as a reference. Now it's exactly like the old batten pocket.
Here.
Just like this one.
For our repair, we determined that we want a 12-inch by 2.5-inch piece of Dacron. So we're taking some scrapped sailcloth Dacron material and marking it and then cutting it out. We're using shears here. We're not using a Hotknife as we did previously with the pocket. And then we're going to take double-sided tape and place it on this patch assembly. That will help hold this patch in place while we take it to the sewing machine and sew it. Peel off the transfer tape, revealing the glue, then take it over to your sail and baste it in place with the repair obviously in the center of the patch. We're going to line up the edge of this patch with the exact leech of the sail. In other words, it will fold over along the hem. Now we're going to sew it with the Sailrite professional long arm sewing machine. This is a 4-point machine. You do not have to use a 4-point machine. A 4-point machine does 3 straight stitches in each zig. You can do a standard zigzag stitch here just as well. Notice we're moving the leech line out of the way so we don't sew the leech line. If your sail has a leech line, make sure you don't sew that in. Then at the end we'll reverse to lock our stitch in place. We obviously did that at the beginning as well. We'll do the same procedure to the other side. A little bit of reversing here at the beginning and then sew down its length. Then at the end of the pocket we'll also sew a zigzag there as well. Here's what it looks like when that patch is complete. This is the side that will have the batten pocket. Now we're going to flip it over. Flip the sail over and then cut out that extra material that's kind of ragged. If this were actually a rip, it would look like a rip, but obviously it's been repaired once, so it kind of looks like it's been trimmed around already. Usually you won't have to do repair more than once. In this situation we are. So you want to cut around the rip to make it look nice. We'll then cut a second patch material out of Dacron fabric, apply double-sided tape, and we'll base this to the opposite side that we just sewed down. Peel off the transfer tape, revealing the glue, and then baste it in place right over the top of that cutout we just made. We're going to trim the end of this Dacron tape so that it rests in the fold of the hem. Once you're happy with its placement, take it over to the sewing machine and we'll sew around the back portion of this patch and the two long sides. Don't worry about sewing where the hem is.
On this side we cut a patch short so that it'll fold over.
We'll now take the Dacron material that actually makes the batten pocket and we'll apply double-sided tape to it where those folds are at the end. This is a batten that is secured in at the leech end by sewing it in place. Typically, most sails have a batten that is held in place by an elastic band that tensions the batten to keep it from popping out of the pocket. Obviously, this is a different type of batten pocket because it's sewn at the leech, so this is only really applicable for batten pockets that are sewn in place. Using double-sided tape like Deb is in the video helps to secure and hold everything in place when you take it over to the sewing machine and sew it. It may be excessive, you may be able to hold everything in place, but we really recommend using double-sided tape. It makes things exactly accurate and keeps them nice and flat. There we are. There's the one end. Now let's compare it to the old batten pocket. Now the opposite end will also apply double-sided tape to keep it in place as well. Peel off the transfer tape, revealing the glue, and then fold it over. Beauty of it, you can peel it up if it's not straight and reapply it. Before we base this patch to the sail, we're going to create another reinforcing patch that will be used at the end of the batten pocket. Now this is an Insignia material. An Insignia is a Dacron material with a sticky on the back side, and she just used a round object to cut it to size. Dacron Insignia material is also good to keep on your boat for emergency repairs. You can use it for rips because it sticks very well to sailcloth material. It's also used for creating logos and numbers, but here we're using it as a reinforcing at the end of the batten pocket. Deb's applying double-sided tape to the underside of this batten pocket, and she rips the tape here instead of using scissors. That can be done as well. Peel off the transfer tape, and then we'll take it to our sail and apply it down. On this batten pocket, we made 3 folds on one side of the batten pocket. That side will be facing towards the luff or away from the leech. The back edge of the batten pocket should be flush with the leech edge. And here it is centered in the middle of those previous patches. We've unfolded the hem here, you can see it splayed out, and we'll sew a zigzag down both long edges. We're using a 4-point machine. You could do it with a standard 2-point zigzag as well. There's no need to have a 4-point stitch. It could be done with a straight stitch machine as well, but typically, or traditionally, most sails are constructed with a zigzag stitch. At the end, we'll reverse the sewing machine to lock our stitch in place. There's no need to sew over the short end. We'll do the same procedure to the opposite side. We'll not show that. Now we'll concentrate on the leech edge.
We're going to sew up just to this and back tack
We're going to sew that hem, or in some situations tape, back down to the leech edge. And as Deb explained earlier, we're going to stop right at the pocket so we don't sew the pocket shut. So we'll do some reversing here to lock the stitch in place so that we can still insert the batten. We'll then jump over that batten opening on the pocket and finish up the leech edge.
Get sewn through the pocket.
Insert the batten with the hole facing away or facing towards the leech edge because it's going to be sewn in place. Make sure the batten gets inserted inside those Dacron folds that you created at the opposite end. We'll then take an awl or a sharp nail and punch it through the Dacron right where the hole is in the batten. This will make it easier to hand stitch it in place. Then we'll pre-punch holes at the edges of the batten so that we can hand sew this in place without having to punch it through all the Dacron. And we're using a pre-waxed sail twine. This is a 5-ply sail twine. Obviously it's been ran through the needle, so it creates 2 layers. And then we'll just whip it a few times to secure it in place. Right through the center where the batten is, or the hole in the batten is. And then around the edges of the batten about 2 to 3 times. The more you go through these holes, the harder it is to pull the needle out, so you may need to use needle nose pliers to give you a little bit extra pulling power. Then Deb's going to create a knot on the back side and secure it in place, and then she's going to take it over to the Hotknife. You can use a wood burning tool or a soldering gun and just kind of make a button, because this twine melts beautifully with that wax, and then she'll just press it with her finger to make it flare out, and that'll keep it from ever really coming undone. Do that to the side over here where the batten pocket is, and she'll flare it with her finger again to make it form a beautiful button. There we are, it's complete. Be sure to order all your supplies at Sailrite, and we have plenty of instructions to help you with your next project. I'm Eric Grant with Sailrite. Thanks for watching this video. Bye bye.